y'all. Y'all know I'm weird. Whatever.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl BondyBlue. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl BondyBlue. Okay, follow me on Instagram and let's get into the video. Right?
Well, it's the episode where we talk about PolTrix. I've put on my rose-colored glasses because, damn it, I need a positive outlook on all of this. You guys, hi, how y'all doing? I hope y'all doing good. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. It's Mercury day. It's communicative. Okay, it's my day. Okay, as a Gemini, it is my day, girl. Now listen, we're gonna talk about hella dumb shit, right? That is what I am calling PolTrix, aka politics, the tricks of it all, the bullshit of it all. What's going on? Okay, if you live here, girl, you might want to know what's going on. And also, I feel like this will be a space for like-minded people who are exasperated and can't believe this dumb shit is happening again. Also, I want to start off this by saying shout out to Roxanne. It's Rocks on YouTube. I don't know if y'all follow It's Rocks, but that's my girl. Okay. I love me some Roxanne. Okay. And Roxanne will always talk about politics no matter what. Okay. If she had to, hey, we're going to talk about politics because it's tricks. It's all theater. It's all a show. But your life depends on said theater and said show a lot of the time. Okay. I just want to make sure that everybody knows where I get PolTrix from. It's from Roxanne. Shout out to my girl. Okay. Make sure y'all follow her on YouTube. I feel like we're also going to talk about Tyrese and Scrappy in this live, because if we're going to talk about dumb shit, we might as well talk about some dumb shit. Okay. Before we actually get into that though, if this is for the somewhat intellectual folk, okay, you know what I'm saying? That's what I would like for this to be for, the somewhat intellectual folk. You know what I'm saying? We can drift back and forth. We love ignorant shit, but at the same time, we read books. Okay, shout out to y'all. And this is not to shame anybody. This is not to shame anybody. Okay, this is just me, and I need to create something for myself. So that's what this is. Okay. Everything is always an extension of BondyBlue because that's who I am. Okay. So it's just another BondyBlue show, but this is a certain segment. All right. I also I want to tell you, I love the Daily Show. I love that show on Max. What's her name? Amber? Is it Amber? The black lady that used to have her own show, and now she on the show with a whole bunch of other people ran by a black dude, and it's hilarious. And I can't remember the name, but me and Lyric watch it every week. That's how shit be in my household. You just watch it, don't remember the name of nothing. But y'all, I love Audible, right? I want Audible to give me a deal. Audible, can you call? Do I have to call you, Audible? I want a deal, okay? They just put up that they have a new Audible original called Stranded with Tracy Ellis Ross and Taraji P. Henson. I'm definitely gonna be listening to that when I'm tired of being depressed by the hard-hitting stuff I've been reading lately. So I don't know about y'all. Amber Ruffin, thank you. I love Amber Ruffin. She's hilarious. So I hope some of my prep girls come into the room, right? Because I know a lot of my prep girls, a lot of people that know me in real life watch me but don't really say anything. And every now and again, they might jump out and say, what's up? But ultimately, a lot of times, they don't really say nothing. But shout out to my prep girls. Because on our high school reading list, and I've discussed this with y'all in my members only live, the reading list at Xavier Preparatory High School in 2002, 3, around that time, early 2000s, was some real crucial, hard ass shit, man, for lack of a better term. Okay. There were 2 books that we read in high school that have stuck with me for a long time. Go Ask Alice by Anonymous, which is still a bestseller today. And a book called The Child Called It. Now, when I tell you I will never reread The Child Called It again, I feel like I want to go reread Go Ask Alice, but I will never read The Child Called It again. It literally was one of the most, for lack of a better term, less than 7 minutes in my video. Please support the channel. It was one of the most fucked up things I think I'd ever read. Child Called It was about the middle child being abused while the other children were not. And I mean, Black people, you and I will understand this. There's literally a part in the book where the mom has the middle son who she's abusing, the Child Called It. The mom is the abusive person. The father is just sitting there doing nothing most of the time, okay? Ignoring the abuse, allowing it to happen. So the mom has the little boy clean the bathroom in the basement, which is not well ventilated. And y'all know back in the day, you cleaning your bathroom was you basically damn near dying from inhaling a mix of chemicals, bleach, and all kind of shit, right? So she has him cleaning the bathroom and she locks him in the bathroom to the point that he literally is passing out, like in the bathroom from inhaling the fumes from cleaning the bathroom. I remember one of the last things that happened was she shot him. She shot her fucking middle schooler. Like, it was crazy. Yes, mixing bleach and ammonia. Yes. So a lot of y'all have read A Child Called It. So, like, please understand, our reading list in high school was not for the faint of heart. And I feel like when I think about that in retrospect, especially with how a lot of us were being abused, if not at home, a lot of us were being abused at this school. And I say that because I feel like when you are constantly walking on eggshells for fear that you've done something wrong, even though you don't know what you don't even know what can come around the corner, and you're now in deep trouble over something you had no idea you did. This was not just happening to me at Xavier Preparatory School. I did a whole video about it. But when I really think about it, it was a lot of fear mongering. And I don't know if any of us have ever really thought about how much fear we lived in as kids. If not for a response from your parents, family members, other kids, New Orleans is a very violent place. And I feel like even with all of the drinking and having a good time, people speak harshly, people fight for nothing, people kill for nothing. It's just a very violent place to grow up. And I feel like that has a lot to do with the fact that it's a port city. And because a lot of crazy things happen in port cities. And also the fact that, historically, Louisiana, New Orleans specifically, was a landmass that wasn't really seen as suitable. It's the swamp. The water comes in at some point of the year when the hurricanes happen and it floods everything. We decided, you know what? We're going to build a city right there. A lot of early Americans really love to build against what is good for the environment, like what is good for the land. They don't like to build in accordance with nature. They like to build against it, as to constantly be fighting with it. You know what I'm saying? The idea of putting concrete on the land so that you constantly see the grass popping up through the concrete, because nature is always trying to take over, because this is nature. And humans just keep putting cement on top of the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the concept of how New Orleans was basically built, which is why the streets are so fucked up and the infrastructure is so bad and the water is so bad. It's because they literally ignored the setting of New Orleans, the swamp, the way the land sinks, all of that. They ignored all of that and built this place. Well, who are you going to get to build this place besides the slaves? Because it's not just the slaves that built this place, because New Orleans is so old, it might have earlier settlership was more than just slaves. It was also people from prisons from England. England sent all of its prisoners to the states and to some of these areas in order to build them. Not gonna send no real, colonists that we feel are hardworking Americans. No, we're not gonna send them. We're gonna send the degenerates. We're gonna send the people who we've imprisoned, and we're gonna put them in extreme, harsh state where they're gonna build this place up. And what happens after they build the place? They end up staying. And their line just keeps going and keep going. Now you add in slavery on top of that. This is a place full of fucked up, angry people. Then you add the mixing of DNA that is not good. And I talked about this because, this is what I've understood to be the case based on science. I could be wrong because I have not researched this in a long time. But from my understanding, when you have children with your family members, meaning when y'all have too many similar strands of DNA and y'all have a child together, it will cause damage to the chromosomes and the child will come out with some type of disability. Okay. So because of the way racism works, let's keep white in the family. Don't mix with anybody else. And also because of the way we always want to keep wealth within a family, we don't want to give it to anybody else. We want to hoard the wealth. People were consistently having children with family members. At first, they would start out with your far cousins and all of that type of shit. But essentially, sometimes people were absolutely having children with their family members that they shared too many identical chromosomes with. And then we get a population of people that are not quite right. You know what I'm saying? So you get your not quite right people. You got your people that came from prisons in other countries. You got people in terrible conditions. It's hot, it's muggy, it's nasty, the mosquitoes, like all of these things. Why do you think we drink so much? Why do you think the people down here have to party all of the time? Okay? Because you have to offset for how terrible shit can be. Okay? So when I think about all of that and how a lot of us are so violent, and this is probably the first generation, second generation of people trying to unwind their minds from some of the things that cause us pain, that cause us strife. You know what I'm saying? Apparently looking inward has never been popular. America has never wanted you to be introspective. And if being introspective was a part of anything, they didn't want you to do that. They didn't want you to look within. You look within, you start to figure shit out, and you no longer buy into a system of capitalism that requires you to constantly be buying shit in order to feel good about who you are. So, again, all of that in mind, New Orleans people are harsh. And so we're all in school being oppressed because we're in a Catholic all-girls school. Okay? So if you gay, they hate you. If you fast, they hate you. If you're not a straight A student telling on everybody, you are usually constantly being kind of fucked with by the administration. That's what was going on as far as I was concerned when I was at prep. I knew girls who were really doing nothing wrong, but just being teenage girls. Black Planet was a thing back then. I remember a girl got kicked out of school because of her Black Planet page. And even back then, I remember thinking to myself, it's insane how much y'all will ruin Black girls in a all girls Catholic school. They were so willing to ruin our educations over stupid things or things that didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. In the largeness of life, you cannot control who adults have sex with. Once a child becomes an adult, nobody's going to have control over whether that child is gay or that adult is gay or straight. At some point, an adult is either going to do what they want to do and lie about it, or they're going to do what they want to do and tell the truth about it. But at the end of the day, an adult is going to do what they want to do as far as sex is concerned. The idea that they were always so willing to throw us out of school and ruin our educational reputations, because it was hard to get into other schools after you got kicked out of one school. And they were kicking a lot of us out. They were kicking a lot of us out of school. Just fuck these Black girls' education. And so when I think about that part, and then I think about some of the books we read, I'm wondering if all of the fear mongering was intentional. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like reading books like The Child Called It, reading books like Go Ask Alice were fear mongering to control us. And it wasn't working. And I am just now realizing at 36 that Go Ask Alice was really not just a book about a teenager that got hooked on LSD. Somebody gave her drugs gave her drugs. She didn't even want the drugs. Somebody snuck the drugs in some food or some Coke, some Coca-Cola, put some LSD in some Coca-Cola or some shit like that. And now she's addicted to drugs for the rest of the damn book, right? And what I did not realize is it really was about a teenager who's depressed because it's the 70s or maybe the late 60s, and I'm gay. A lot of Go Ask Alice talks about Alice not really being that interested in boys, but mostly having sex with them while on drugs. And then feeling a way about her female friends and knowing that it was bad and guilting and shaming herself internally about it. And so when we have these conversations on my platform and I talk about the homophobia, or I talk about how some of these conservative Black ideals are harmful, because people seem to not understand that Black people are conservative. Most of us grew up in conservative households, which is why the idea that we're voting, the Dems and all of the bullshit that people say about why Black people will vote Democratic. Black people vote Democratic because Republicans vote racist. That is the only reason that a lot of Black people do not vote conservative, because most of them have conservative ideals, because most of them have grown up or been connected somehow to the church. Everybody, white and Black and Asian and Latino people, have the common thread of their religions that have caused their social biases connecting them. Okay? So the white kids are going through it, the Black kids are going through it, but they convince the Black kids that they're the only ones going through this shit. And it is the Black kids thing. But essentially, a lot of us as Black kids grew up in conservative households, depressed because we could not be ourselves. Go Ask Alice is literally a book that is about that without even realizing it. And it makes me wonder if the author was fighting her own sexual feelings about gayness. Beatrix Sparks is the author of Go Ask Alice, and I just finished reading Unmask Alice, which was written by, hold up, let me get it right, Eric. I want to get his name right, y'all. I don't want to just say people's names wrong. By Rick Emerson. Rick Emerson did a deep dive on the book Go Ask Alice and the original author Beatrix Sparks during COVID, y'all. The book is relatively new. Very, very new. All these years, I had no idea that Go Ask Alice was basically something that a woman wrote because she wanted to help the fear mongering going on at that time, and also battling her own demons. And I think the thing that I got from the book the most is how much conservative parents will look everywhere. They will look at Dungeons and Dragons games. They will look at kids wearing Black makeup. They'll look at the books you read, the rock music you listen to. They'll look at whether you're gay or not and try to find a reason for why their child isn't doing what they want them to do. They will look for all of these other reasons and cause this mass hysteria when ultimately your child is depressed. Your child might be gay and feel like they can't be gay because of the way society views gay people. A lot of Black kids are depressed simply because they understand what they're about to grow up into, We're constantly being told and prepared for what it is to be Black, how you're going to have to act. The girls, oh my God, as a young woman, don't be a whore, don't get pregnant, but also don't be gay. And you got a little boyfriend, and girl, the dick is so good. I don't understand how you can like women. The conflicting things, the conflicting ideals that are impressed upon us causes dysfunction and depression. And a lot of our parents were abusive. And even in 2024, a lot of y'all don't want to admit that to yourselves because you feel like your parents loved you, so it's not abuse. It had to look like a child called it in order for it to really be abuse. Peep. This is crazy. It's coming to me in a moment. It is coming to me in this moment that those books were given to us to read at such an influential time in our lives for specific reasons, to fearmonger us in one way or another, to control how we were going to grow up in one way or another. And to me, I often felt as a child that they were never focused on the things that were most important. They weren't focused on my grades or how good I did in school. Not my parents. I'm talking about the school. They weren't worried about that. They were worried about who's gay, what girls are, sleeping together or kissing, as if it matters. 2 girls that I went to school with, okay, y'all know who y'all are. But there are 2 girls in my class that went together in high school. I think they got in trouble for getting caught kissing under the stairs. Fucking people are married to this day. To this day, them people are married and still together. I also know a lot of lesbians that I went to school with who've had children. Trans men who have had children. So all of the fear mongering about gayness, once you become an adult, really starts to seem fucking stupid. And I feel like we could see that even back then, because you could see grown ass gay people making money, living their lives, and everybody's fine. Why are y'all tripping out about it like that? And it is because everybody is so brainwashed into the things that they've been told and that have been impressed upon them through religion that they don't even think about things critically anymore. And to me, reading Unmasked Alice was really about during the Nixon administration when they started the war on drugs. If y'all don't know, the reason why people went to jail in the 90s is, for drugs the way they did was because of Nixon's war on drugs that started in the 70s. So a lot of your family members were in jail for long extended periods of time, Black people, over drugs because somebody decided that they needed to have something or somebody to go after and blame for the world's issues. People could not control their children. Times were changing. Psychology had not really come to the forefront as much. So a lot of kids were bipolar. A lot of kids were having a hard time living in a world that they felt like did not reflect how they felt about themselves or what they wanted to see. That caused a lot of issues. So instead of realizing that a lot of the conservative mindsets caused a lot of oppression, that caused a lot of depression, instead of recognizing that that was the reason why people was getting on drugs, because a lot of them grew up in households that were oppressive. They could not grow and figure out who they wanted to be because somebody was always beating it into them that they needed to be like this. It is what it is. And so when the kids are having these issues of getting on drugs or partying, now the government and the parents are, what are we going to do? The government does research on LSD, on marijuana. All of it says it's relatively harmless. Like it doesn't do any, real damage like heroin or cocaine or meth. And they still decide to group all of it together so that we can have the war on drugs, so that we can go and arrest the others. Because we're the good people and everybody else are the others. So we have to go and get the other people. Who are the others? The Black people, the brown people, the Asian people that are just now coming into America during this time. The Vietnam War is going on. So now the people who are trying to be free thinkers, who are trying to go into the future, who are trying to be progressive, are seen as the others. You're jazz musicians. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people had FBI, CIA shit going on. You find out Billie Holiday, a lot of these people were harassed by the government. And it is because the government wanted so badly to stop the progression that was happening that was going to make things more equitable. The same thing that's happening right now. The exact same thing that's happening right now. It is literally a pattern that we seem to keep going through over and over and over again, where people romanticize conservatism and family values when really you don't value family, because if you did, you wouldn't be voting against people getting aid for families. You wouldn't be voting against the children getting free lunches. You wouldn't be voting against the young girls who do get pregnant getting care for their pregnancies. You wouldn't be voting against all of that if you actually cared about the health of a family. But that's not what it's really about. And so when we have these conversations, even in, with the manosphere shit, it's all the same bullshit. Just take piece here, take a piece here, take a piece here. And that's the reason why y'all don't want to be traditional, trad wives, conservatism. When really all of that is to keep everybody under somebody else's control. Even people on social media, y'all are in the comments a lot of the time so upset because you can't control anything in your own life. So you want to be able to control people on social media. And you really can't. And it's crazy that you try. But essentially it's because you have no control in your own life. So when we get into the Trump shit and the conservatism, the reason why I feel the way I feel about it is deeply rooted, deeply read, deeply educated, and not on no leftist bullshit. Because essentially, most of us are not really as liberal or leftist as you think we are. We just don't like seeing cycles repeated. We don't like people having less rights than they had when we came into the world. We don't like historically knowing that what Trump is doing right now is very reminiscent of what Hitler did when he took over Germany. However, we know that the people that are actually going to be harmed the worst are going to be the poor people, whether they are white or black, Latino, regardless. The poor people are going to be hurt. The disabled are going to be hurt. The black people are going to be hurt. The brown people are going to be hurt. Those are the people that are going to be most hurt by this administration. That's just a fact. That's just a fact, y'all. It doesn't matter what y'all are talking about. It is the fact of the situation that those are the people that are going to get harmed when this administration does one or two things or both. They do nothing or they make shit worse. They're either going to do nothing or they're going to make shit worse. So that brings me to the dumb shit.
Of justice to pursue federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination and schools that persist in explicit unlawful discrimination under the guise of equity will not only have their endowments taxed, but through budget reconciliation, I will advance a measure to have them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment. A portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies that hurt our country so badly. Colleges have gotten hundreds of billions of dollars from hardworking taxpayers, and now we are going to get this anti-American insanity out of our institutions once and for all. We are going to have real education in America. Thank you. Furthermore, I will direct the Department of Justice to pursue federal civil.
Okay. So in case that was hard for y'all to understand, it seems to me as if President Trump, once he becomes president again, wants to go specifically after higher education. And I am wondering if he's talking about HBCUs and talking about DWIs that are incentivized to have a certain quota of other ethnicities admitted into the school. So for instance, Ivy League like Harvard may have to have a certain number of Black students, Asian students, Latino students that are brought in every year, right? Trump and them are calling that discrimination because there is something that says y'all have to have a certain amount or a certain percentage of other ethnicities. That was done because prior to the civil rights movement, white people would basically just not let your ass in. They would make up reasons for why you weren't qualified, for why you couldn't get in, and then they just wouldn't let you in. And it would just be all white people, kind of like Trump's cabinet. And so now what they're saying is not only are they going to get rid of those initiatives, but they're going to tax any schools that fight against him, any schools that say, no, we're going to keep our, equity incentives. We're going to keep it. Oh, no. Well, now we're going to tax you and charge you for it. Now we're going to charge you for allowing other ethnicities to come to the school. I hope y'all understand that. So that means for all of y'all who have kids that want to go to college, and this is how like a lot of his base are white people. I'm not blaming Black people for this because I feel like this is white people's fault. Okay. And a lot of them don't care about this type of shit. They don't care because they're the white ones. So they're the ones who are going to get reparations because Brad's stupid ass wasn't allowed to get into the school, even though he didn't have the grades over Keisha. Keisha had the grades, but Brad's parents are really mad because he's a legacy and they won't let him in because he doesn't have the grades. That's another thing. If they were going to make laws against DEI and equity, they need to make laws against nepotism as well, because most of them got into schools because of who they know. And that's what they want. Trump's presidency is about elbow rubbing with who you know. It's about not actually having to provide the stats, the numbers, the grades, the history. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to actually provide your experience. Even his cabinet, no experience needed. Just kiss my ass hard enough and I will get you the job. And I don't know about you, but I worked at a local news station and I noticed that that's how the local news station worked as well. Like they kept us who worked hard, and the ones who worked really hard, they were usually called every time somebody called out. Every time they need somebody to fill a spot, they're going to call the hardworking people who they know are going to get the job done. They're going to call them to be overworked. But then they're going to keep promoting the people who aren't working as well, but they're just sucking a lot of dick and kissing a lot of ass. I've grown to detest that way of being, because what ends up happening is I have a boss that doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, but wants to have speeches and shit that keep me from doing the work that I need to get done. So when it's not done, you're going to blame me, but you got me sitting here in a fucking meeting talking to me about nothing. So you see how that like trickled down, that mentality. So that's what he's doing. He's doing that with the cabinet, and now he's putting that in the educational institutions. Another thing is that y'all know the Republicans period have been pushing this whole, whitewashing of history, but y'all know they've been doing that, right? Y'all know we're constantly finding out, just like we found out in Unmasked Alice, that y'all have been allowed to lie about any and everything for so long. Like, what the fuck is the truth? And that's another thing about all of this in Trump that exhausts me. And I think that this is what the Obamas were talking about. You remember that Netflix movie that the Obamas came out with, and it basically said that America would just basically disintegrate because it would eventually infight itself to death. Like things were flying from the sky saying that, oh, this country did it or this country did it. So now we can't trust each other at all. Now we're killing each other because we don't know who we can trust. And the truth is no longer the truth. Truth is a lie and a lie is the truth. So that's why a lot of this stresses me the fuck out, because I can see where it can go. And to me, the idea that it was going to be bad either way, I don't really feel that way. I don't feel that way. And people like Amanda Seales, who are deeply educated, but sometimes say the dumbest shit, or not even dumb. I'm not even gonna call it dumb. I'm gonna say when she said it, I don't understand, except for feeling like a lot of us are so frustrated and disempowered, and we've been so dogpiled on that the idea of giving a shit is just way too much. So I would rather just say it doesn't matter either way. We're fucked either way. I'm just gonna concede and lay down. And there's a part of me that just is not cool with that shit. But I do, this is one of the things Amanda said.
Can't ignore your base and win an election. It's just what it is. They might, have some tricks up their sleeve and whatever the fuck, but can't be a black woman running like a white man and win an election. Not for the real ones, at least. Not for the real ones. Not for the ones that actually know what the fuck we're talking about. Yeah, her base, Sticky, her base. Yeah, you can't run and ignore your base. Your base are the people who are not. It wasn't, you can sit here and say, oh, it was Latino women and white women, but what you're ignoring is the fact is that there are bunches and bunches and bunches of people who simply did not vote. Yes, and a lot of her bases voted for Trump because she did not give them anything interesting to vote for. Obvious is that there were incredibly large swaths of people that begged to be seen. That begged to be seen.
See, this is giving projection. Like I said, it's giving. This is Amanda's own shit. This is what Amanda's going through right now. They've been dogpiling on Amanda for a minute, fucking up her tours. I think it's been Zionists, I believe, that have been like attacking her everywhere she turns. And so I do feel like a piece of her commentary on Kamala might be like inner projection. Are you angry at yourself? Therefore, you find yourself being angry at Kamala about the way she ran her, 2-3 month long vie for presidency in a world where we knew it was extremely hopeful to think that people would see that the Trump administration would be, extremely detrimental to the country, period. Like it would, send us further into the whole America's gonna break apart, it will fall, you know what I'm saying? Like it will fall, basically like Rome or any other civilization in history will fall. And I feel like this is a projection because essentially, yes, when I look at it, we all knew that Kamala probably was not going to win because she's a black woman, a woman above all. They didn't let Hillary win. Hillary had all of the credentials, had all of the experience being a first lady, being running the energy department, I believe, Secretary of State at some point, I believe. It was a long time ago, y'all. Forgive me if I'm getting it wrong, but I remember her being in at least the 2 previous presidents' cabinet. You know what I'm saying? So Obama and Obama, I think for 2. But she went against him. So before that, she was in something when Bush was in too. I think that's when she was in Department of Energy. Girl, I can't remember. It's been too long, and I was a child. Okay, but either way, the white lady had all the credentials, and y'all wouldn't let her do it either. And so, if we're being real, I don't think that America was ever really ready for a black female president, just like they weren't ready for a white female president in 2016 when y'all let Trump, the reality star, the sexist accused artist, y'all allowed him to become the president of the free world, and it was a circus. It was his cabinet members going in and out consistently, a lot of ass kissing, a lot of lying. And COVID happens. And instead of everybody seeing that as him extremely mishandling something that could have been made better if only there was a president with some fucking sense in the office at the time. No, instead, y'all see that as, oh, it was just COVID. That was just the times. There was nothing he could have done. It was Fauci. Like, people lost their family members and y'all consistently act like that shit wasn't real. Like, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Yeah, Hillary won the popular vote. She did. And it's also seeming like Kamala only lost the popular vote by maybe 3 million. A recent number poll said that he only won by 76 and she won, she was at 73 for the popular vote. So she didn't even lose as much as we thought that she did. And it actually makes me wonder, you know what I'm saying? Yes, a lot of people did not vote. That was obvious by the numbers. Because it's like the same amount of people that voted for Trump last time. That's about the same amount of people that voted for him this time. It wasn't any more people, but it definitely felt like most of y'all either tapped out or voted for him because y'all did not want a Black female president. You know, that's just what it seemed like. And to me, those numbers were more so reflected by the white people than anybody else, even the Latinas. Like, the Latinas might as well be white as far as I'm concerned. Like, you might as well just call yourself, oh, we're not white. We don't want to be white. Sure, honey. Sure. Everybody in a system of white supremacy wants to cozy up to whiteness because you feel like then you'll have a better experience on this fucked up hayride.
And they were ignored. He's speaking to all of those people. Let me speak to all the people that he's forgetting.
I feel like all of the people that he was forgetting, like, how much talking to do we need? Like, I honestly feel like I don't know how much talking we needed to do. Like, Kamala came in, last ditch effort. Biden should have gave up he should have stepped down a long time ago. He's too fucking old. He should have stepped down, but I guess in his dementia, he just doesn't want to do that. I don't fucking know. Either way, I feel like what was she supposed to do differently? I don't think her placating Black people or Black men any more than she did was going to do any favors because we still voted for her overwhelmingly. We still voted for her between 87 and 92%. So essentially, it doesn't matter what she said to us. And I don't think there was anything her Black female features and face and shit was going to be able to say. Because, you know, y'all can say what y'all want to say, but Kamala sitting in front of a white man looks like a Black woman. And even if you felt like she looked like an Indian woman, guess what? They don't like them neither. They don't like them neither. So it doesn't even, everybody having arguments that don't fucking matter. If the white person, you're not white, that's all that matters. You're not white and you're not a man. You're not a man. That's what this was.
Let me make them feel home. Let me make them feel safe. Many of you watching right now, you're going to have to be forced to wake up in these next 4 years and realize that it's not just about fucking you. You're going to be forced to realize that the only way that this person and this faction, this fascism, this version of fascism, because it's all fascism, the only way that it gets dealt with is by connecting with people that are not you, that are not like you, with seeing the people that are not like you and making them feel at home. Can't ignore.
Okay. So who are the people that are not like you that are her base? I'm so confused by what she said. And I've seen a lot of commentary like that. I've seen a lot of commentary about how we're supposed to be reaching over the aisle at this time. And, you know, now is not a time to be divisive. And I feel like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? What are y'all talking about? Can y'all please tell me when turning the other cheek has pushed Black people so far in the future? Because essentially, racism had to end for financial reasons. And I'm not talking about racism ending, but I'm talking about as far as the civil rights movement happening. And I mean segregation. Segregation had to end for financial reasons because somebody white cared more about money than color. That is how I feel. I feel somebody was like, we just getting the white people money because we segregated. But if we integrate, yeah, we might have to be around these niggas, but essentially we gonna get their money too. And then, you know what I'm saying? Once we getting everybody money, that's more money for us. I think essentially that is what people were thinking about. Like even them letting go of slavery was about the fact that, well, it's more expensive. We have to keep, first of all, slaves were always running away or dying. So essentially, it costs too much money to either have to keep replacing slaves, keep running after slaves, especially when somebody created the cotton gin. Somebody made a way for this to happen faster and cheaper without all of the blood that has to take place in order for us to keep slavery in place. That is the only reason why Lincoln went ahead and signed the Emancipation Proclamation, because there was a more financially astute way to do it now. And to me, when it came to segregation and integration, that was the only reason why we integrated. Not really because it was fucked up, because separate but equal was fucked up. No. It was because essentially y'all wanted everybody's money and not just white folks' money. Somebody saw the future and was like, America is going to be a place full of people and we want everybody's money. So a lot of the mentalities to me are just skewed as far as why y'all think these things happen. A lot of it had nothing to do with what's right, morals. So whenever people in politics push morality, I'm looking at them sideways. That's why I have such a strong disdain for a lot of conservatives, because you push a lot of bullshit that you don't even follow. Like, you can be homophobic, but it's okay for you to fuck somebody's teenage daughter. That's okay though. All right. You can vote against gay marriage and then go to the airport and get fucked by a random man in a bathroom. And like, what's going on? What's going on here? So yeah, I don't know exactly what Amanda is talking about, but I personally feel like the country we live in, there was no amount of pandering that Kamala was going to be able to do to some of these white people in order for them to feel good about a black woman being in a presidency. And that is simply because you don't want a black woman in charge, because you're always scared that somebody's going to do to you what you've done to black women. Y'all are just scared that Kamala was going to come in and equal everything out and kind of, make it a little bit more of a level playing field. And I think most white people do not want us to be on a level playing field, because what else do they have? They're miserable too. A lot of them white women living in them houses and all of that shit, and y'all think they happy. Them hoes is miserable too. What else do they have but to feel like, at least I'm better than black people? At least we not getting treated like the niggas. So I don't know what Amanda is talking about, because I'm not sure what Kamala could have done. Like, she's literally fucking a white man. Like, I don't know what y'all wanted from her. So remember when Candace, prior to the election, was always talking about DEI and how she felt like it wasn't fair and we need to get rid of affirmative action and all of that and just let people get jobs, based on merit. And I was like, that would be nice if we didn't live in a system of racism, and y'all like to keep ignoring the racism. There's a part of Candace and Kanye that I understand. Black people allow racism to stop them from trying because they feel like they won't be able to do something. And I'm not talking about all black people, but I'm talking about a lot, especially black men, young black men growing up in America, feel like there's only so much they can do. So why even fucking try? So that part of the racism, I agree that you have to unwrap your mind from that shit. This is the best time, if any, to do whatever the fuck you want to do. Okay? This is the best time, if any. So when Candace and Kanye are talking about how black people allow racism to hold them back and all of that, I definitely understand. Constantly being made upset by seeing racist shit, you know what I mean? Like being able to be pulled on or manipulated based off of racist bullshit, and liberal people using that, like liberal whites. You know what I'm saying? Using how black people feel about racism in order to manipulate us and all of that. Same type of fear mongering. Yeah. I understand where they're coming from. And there's some of that I absolutely agree with. But at the same time, to continue to ignore institutionally how racism affects the quality of life for everybody, y'all got to be fucking for real. And y'all are not being for real if you think that corporations that have mostly white boardrooms are going to hire other people in high positions if they don't have to or they're not incentivized to. That is what we learned from Separate but Equal. And then later when we, had to integrate, there had to be things put in place where you had to hire us, because how else are we going to live if we live in a world where y'all don't want to let us work here? Or you only want us to work in service jobs. Y'all want us to be slaves, so you only hire us to do slave-like labor. But a lot of us are intellectuals and should be doing other shit. But you don't want to hire us, and you're in charge of everything because we live in a country that is built off of racism, meaning that most of the people that started businesses here were whites. They had such a head start. Okay, they had such a head start with, depleting and stealing. I mean, even to this day, they're still fighting lawsuits about the way certain, areas have stolen land from Black people. The people in California that own that beach, they got people down there in Florida still fighting over some land that was stolen from them. And because they are Black and it is criminalized in this country to be Black, whether y'all want to be real about that or not, people were having their land and shit taken and stolen from them over bullshit. Any old white person could lie and say anything, and then some Black person's life is ruined. Y'all only want to bring that up when we talking about how Black men mistreat Black women, but y'all don't want to really talk about it in the frame of how it has affected us when it comes to industry, not having businesses in certain areas. Like, think about it, y'all. There are so many industries that Black people have no footing in whatsoever because it's not popularized. So they don't know you can own a business that creates the lighting that people sell so that they can have, special types of light shows and shit, like all kind of little different businesses and industries and shit that we have no footing in whatsoever. And then the things that we spend the most money on, we're just now getting a footing in that, like Black hair care. Like, think about it, y'all. Like, this is all still a fucking issue. So I felt like, obviously, the equity laws and incentives of DEI and affirmative action were still very much needed in our country, because the underlying racism is there no matter what you think, it is there. It's just is embedded into the fabric, bitch. And unless you know it's there and are making a conscious effort to not do it, people are just going to keep doing it. So rolling back DEI and affirmative action is not smart, especially when you're thinking about having Black people in certain areas. So Candace Owens is one of the people that was always going off, and a lot of y'all agreed with her stupid ass about DEI and affirmative action. Y'all agreed with her. Can't believe I was overlooked for ambassador to Israel. I'm sure she's joking, but essentially Candace was passed over several times. A lot of the Black people that support Donald Trump are always passed over and never elevated to the cabinet. They're never elevated to his very close administration. He would rather go and work with people that he fucking hates simply because they're white before he worked with your Black ass. So whenever I see Black people screaming about Trump cares about Black people, Trump cares about Black people, I need y'all to tell me why there is not one Black person in his entire cabinet. This is right now looking like the cabinet. Not one Black person. It looks like one Indian, maybe. I can't tell. He's brown. But he looks like he doesn't know he's brown, or he doesn't care, or he's not fucking with the rest of y'all. Okay. But there's one right there. And this lady right here who's next to him, Tulsi, I believe she is from Hawaii. So she might be another, not white person. So that would have looked two. Oh, hold up. Stephen Chung, the communications director. Look like he can't breathe. The rest of them are white men or white men by proxy of white women. Because white women only care about white men and what they need and what they want. And we know that. That's their best interest. White. So I was gonna go over the cabinet, but I just, oh God. Are y'all gonna make me go over the cabinet? Secretary of State Mark Rubio. They don't even like each other. They didn't went in on each other so many times. It's ridiculous. Okay. But Mark Rubio, he will be the Secretary of State. We got the Attorney General, Matt Gaetz. Yes, let's talk about Matt Gaetz. Girl, this is Matt Gaetz. And anybody whose brows are this close to their eyes, I have worries. Okay? I have worries. I'm worried. Neighbors, Matt Gaetz, who Trump tapped to be his attorney general, is being accused of paying 2 grown women for sex and messing with a 17-year-old girl in a pool. This is coming straight from the lawyer representing the woman Gaetz allegedly paid. Florida lawyer Joel Lepard told ABC News his client spilled the tea to the House Ethics Committee that was looking into Gaetz. They claim he used Venmo to slide them cash for sex. And this is what I'm talking about when I say conservatives are full of shit. Because why are you paying for prostitution, but you won't make prostitution legal? I don't like the hypocrisy of it all. One of the women even told Congress she saw Gaetz sexually involved with her 17-year-old homegirl at a house party back in July 2017. Now the lawyer says his client thinks Gaetz didn't know the girl was underage at the time. When he found out, he supposedly chilled until she hit 18 before continuing anything. Last week, Gaetz dropped out of Congress after Trump picked him for attorney general. That move put a stop to the Ethics Committee investigation. Gaetz denies these claims and says he did nothing wrong. Somebody said that I sounded stupid saying that Trump would probably or might consider pardoning Diddy. And I'm like, why am I stupid when he did it with Kodak Black? And also, I feel like this is what he's doing with his cabinet. A lot of his cabinet seems to be people who have been accused of illegalities, and they want to get off on these illegalities. And if you become a part of his loyalist group, you will get away with whatever you've done that's illegal. I also wanted to talk about him appointing Robert F. Kennedy. I know a lot of y'all will be happy about this because a lot of y'all, seem to hate vaccines now. Girl, it used to only be middle-class white women that had the luxury of acting a fucking fool about their child having to get a vaccine before they went to a school. The ones whose kids, come to school and get everybody sick talking about, well, my child's natural immune system made them well. Bitch, your child came here and got a baby sick, bitch. That's why your child was supposed to get vaccinated, because there are babies here, bitch. Babies. And if we're going to take toddlers and babies, we need the toddlers not to kill the babies. Girl, that was an episode of SVU.
Clearing out the corruption in your terms. Would that mean clearing out the top level federal service workers that are currently at the FDA and the CDC?
In some categories, I would say.
What does that look like? Yeah.
In some categories of workers, there are entire departments, like the nutrition departments at FDA.
Why do you sound like that?
That have to go.
Okay, I'm just gonna read it. I can't bear. So RFK Jr. is the son of Senator Robert F. Kennedy and the nephew of President John Kennedy, both of whom were assassinated. He's widely known as a conspiracy theorist and vaccine skeptic. Kennedy is noted as previously saying that the COVID-19 crisis was manufactured to attack Caucasians and Black people. He seemingly supported ideas that autism and childhood vaccines are somehow connected as well. There are so many of y'all that are anti-vax and so angry about it. And I don't understand. I don't understand. Because essentially, I bet you any money, this old ass man has probably been vaccinated against a bunch of shit. And I also thought it was crazy because Trump was vaccinated from COVID. He almost died until he got vaccinated. I know everybody likes to forget about that. And I also feel like the reason why most people aren't dying at large numbers anymore is because of the herd vaccine. But I could be wrong about that. I also feel like people should be able to do whatever they want to do because I feel like people, don't control nobody else's body. So I personally feel like you should be able to do whatever you want to do. But please understand that means you may not be able to put your child into a school if you don't want to get them vaccinated. That's all. Like, you can do whatever. I feel like when it comes to your body, you should make whatever decision you want to make, but stop getting mad when parameters are put in place because of whatever decision you decide to make. Y'all was big fucking mad about, you know what I'm saying, the vaccine, and I'm mad because I can't be around my family. What you don't understand that your family members don't have the same, your elderly family members did not have the same immune system as younger people. So you may have been able to not be vaccinated and be around people without a mask on and live to tell a story, but your 70-something-year-old auntie or your 60-year-old mama may not have been, bitch, arguing with me about fucking vaccines when, like, you don't understand that what your body could fight off, somebody else's body may not be able to fight off. That's why it wasn't safe for you to be in close parameters with your family members. And that's hard for y'all to understand. Historically, there have been many diseases that have come and killed thousands and hundreds of thousands of people in this country before vaccines were created. Like, I don't get it. Cause y'all all was getting vaccinated in the fucking 90s. In the 80s, y'all hoes was getting vaccinated. Now everybody's grown, sitting up there talking about, I'm against vaccine. I'm not getting my kids vaccinated. Why, bitch? You got vaccinated. Your mama got you vaccinated before you went to public school, bitch. Again, do whatever you want to do. But some of the shit is just giving you want to be contrarian. Hotep mentality, mindsets that may not be necessarily the best, but that's your decision to make. That's always your decision to make. And I feel like you have every right to choose that for yourself. Okay? I'm not going to argue with you about it because you should do whatever you want to do. Elon Musk. Y'all, he didn't even like Elon Musk, and Elon Musk did not like him. But now they friends. Now he's about to be in the cabinet. And I do want to read about Elon Musk. Hold up. There's so many wayward white people that have paid in head and money in order to get in these seats. We're not even gonna get into we gonna get into Vince McMahon's wife because, girl, that lady could barely control her household. That, she looked like she was controlling shit, but if you was really controlling shit, can you explain to me why your kids hate your husband? Bitch, your kids hate your husband. That's what I have noticed. Your kids can't stand that nigga. So he must have been doing something wrong, and you was there right along with him, blurring the lines of truth and lie, of fiction and nonfiction. Hold up, y'all. I'm trying to see what the rest of the cabinet at. Because I know there has to be. Where's the one on Elon Musty? Video. Where's that? Oh, God, I'm so annoyed. Anyway, hold up, y'all. Give me a second, because honestly, I'm going to play something that I watched. A video that I watched earlier today that I feel like explains the situation with
new class action file. It seems like
hold up. The situation with shut up. Oh my God.
Here, I'm not in favor.
I'm sorry, y'all. I have to find this. Do me a favor, while I do this, support my channel, y'all.
Anywhere you go, you belong.
Okay, y'all, I found it.
Is a weird loser, but is he a scam? Find out on my recurring segment. Is it a scam? Yep. He's been around Silicon Valley for a long time, first being fired as the CEO of X Bank and then being kicked out as the CEO of PayPal. But he's most known for founding Tesla. And by founding, I mean not founding, investing, kicking out the founders, and then later making a large settlement that allowed him to claim he was the founder. But his true passions are saying things out loud that aren't true and making predictions that don't happen. In 2011, he said we'd be to Mars in 10 years. Then in 2017, he said we'd be there by 2022. He's constantly claimed that we were moments away from full self-driving cars. He also said that by 2020, if you buy a Tesla, it will be able to work during the day without your help as a robo-taxi, going so far as to showing a completely fake app. In 2014, he promised that your car would be able to swap its battery within minutes so that he could get a bunch of government subsidies, numerous tunnel projects, and then ghosted all of the cities he was working with. The only tunnel he did build was in Las Vegas, which he said would be fully autonomous, but instead is just a guy in a car will drive you very slowly in traffic. He also later admitted that he made up the Hyperloop promise just to get California to stop working on high-speed rail. He promised that COVID would be over by April 2020, that Twitter would have 1 billion monthly users by 2023, that Starlink speeds would double by 2021, that solar tiles would be available at some point, and he personally promised to fix the Flint water crisis. But did he do that? Nope. And I know it's possible that he's not actually lying about all of these things. He's just a dumb person. So he's a fake founder who either lies about everything or doesn't understand any of the projects he's working on. But is he a scam? Yep. Elon Musk is a weird loser, but is he a scam?
So yes, Elon Musk is a scam. Okay. So essentially, this is what I found. I want to see if this helps us understand a little bit more. Trump's field trip with Muskie on Tuesday to marvel at the billionaire SpaceX launch in Texas was just the latest display. Trump brought an entourage of aides and lawmakers, including Senator Bill Hagerty, a top contender for Treasury Secretary, to the launch. The president-elect was warmly greeted with a hug from Muskie and a show and tell of his space bays. Okay, we're showing dicks. The incoming president and the world's richest man have remained seemingly inseparable over the last 2 weeks, as Musk has sat in on calls with world leaders, joined Trump and his family members for meals, and was ever present as the president-elect charts out his second administration. Still, there are indications that Musk's influence on Trump's decision-making process extends only so far. Musk has publicly advocated for both personnel and Senate leadership picks that didn't materialize, while straying from the established talking points of Trump and his staff. Among Musk's defeats, pushing for Senator Rick Scott for majority leader, it went to Senator John Thune after Trump declined to get involved, and touting Howard Lutnick for Treasury Secretary, only to watch Trump appoint his transition head to lead the Commerce Department instead. Musk was especially vocal about Lutnick announcing his support in a post on X to his millions of followers. Trump was apparently unmoved, as Lutnick ended up with an administration job different than what he lobbied for. At the same time, Trump's selection of Brenda Carr as Federal Communications Commission chair this week and Musk's fingerprints on it. Carr's advocacy has lined up closely with Musk's interests throughout 2024, and the two have amplified each other on social media. He's now poised to shape key parts of Trump's administration policy and in ways that stand to benefit Musk businesses, like the satellite broadband service Starlink, which could be in line for more subsidies and contracts. The push and pull is all part of what's shaping up as perhaps the most important friendship in America. Trump is clearly enamored. He has called Musk a genius while listening to ideas and suggestions shared by the quirky Tesla and SpaceX owner. And Muskie, who dubbed himself Trump's first buddy, has been particularly captivated by the process of standing up a new White House. He has approached the transition process like a scientist, according to a person close to the former president, picking apart problems and carefully observing as MAGA scenes unfold, like his first UFC fight last weekend. In the process, he has won over not only Trump, but some of his top allies on the flight to the UFC match. Musk spoke at length with Donald Trump Jr. and other guests about his different ideas. And I quote, "I got off the plane and I was like, I wish we were going 20 times further." Trump Jr. gushed to Charlie Kirk. "I wish we were there for 20 hours because it was one of the most fascinating conversations I've ever had. The level of genius, you can't even comprehend it. You throw out questions and I just want to listen." But while aides and advisors have complained to the press that Muskie is still around and butting into transition decisions, Trump and his family haven't appeared to care. So far, Trump, who enjoys surrounding himself with an eclectic array of celebrities and business titans at his club, has tolerated behavior from Musk that might have grated him with others. Elon Musk and President Trump are great friends and brilliant leaders working together to make America great again. Elon Musk is a once-in-a-generation businessman, and our federal bureaucracy will certainly benefit from his ideas and efficiency, said Carolyn Levitt, Trump Vans transition spokesperson. In the last week alone, Musk and Trump have met up in Texas, where a Tesla Cybertruck joined Trump's motorcade, traveled together to Washington, D.C. to address GOP lawmakers, chowed down on McDonald's in the early hours of the morning, attended a professional fight, and sang together in front of all of Trump's friends at Mar-a-Lago. On election night, Musk and his young son named X joined the Trump family photo at the urging of Trump and Trump's granddaughter in the days after said that Musk had achieved uncle status. Y'all, this is very dangerous. And I feel like this is primarily dangerous because Elon Musk is in a lot of lawsuits, I believe, when it comes to labor. When it comes to how he pays people, when it comes to, the rights he wants the people that work for him to have, people who have accused him of racism at Tesla, like a lot of shit like that. So I believe a lot of his initiatives are basically to help him get out of checks and balances, to get him out of these discriminatory lawsuits. That's why Trump is going after DEI initiatives and all of that type of shit. It's sending a message that anybody who thinks they're going to sue a white corporation for discrimination, not only may you lose because we're going to stack the judges, but then we're going to make you pay for suing us. I don't know if y'all picked that up. But yeah, I think it's going to be really bad. Like, to me, it's crazy how the labor unions back Trump, because it's very obvious that he's not for labor unions, and neither is not any of the corporations. People that run corporations, y'all, that run big business, they are anti-labor. Like labor unions that make sure that the laborers, the people that are working, have rights and are not just, basically being rammed in the ass by their employers. Yeah, these people are against that. So girl, some things I just never understand. But yeah, we're going to see. This is just a little bit from an article in Politico about how close Donald and Elon are getting and how he's influencing but not influencing his decisions. Either way, y'all got to know that Elon Musk is over there sucking Trump's dick so that he can not only gather more power, but also so that he can basically fuck over his employees. But this is what y'all be voting for. So, I think y'all will be okay. This is the type of stuff that y'all vote for. So I'm sure y'all will be fine. All of y'all that voted for him and, think that was a good idea. So yeah, Donald Trump selects former WWE CEO Linda McMahon. As y'all know, her husband is currently being investigated. And I wonder if her becoming a part of Education Secretary will help Vince McMahon get some help in all the ways he's currently being investigated on RICO charges by the FBI. Just in case y'all forgot about that. So Trump has announced Linda McMahon as his choice for Secretary of Education. McMahon is a former wrestling executive for WWE. She went on to retire in 2009 and previously served as the head of the Small Business Administration during Trump's first term from 2017 to 2019. McMahon's appointment marks a great shift, bringing her experience in business and government leadership to the front of the administration's education agenda. She has maintained a close relationship with Trump as the chair on the board for America First Policy Institute, the conservative lead think tank founded by Trump aides in 2021 was used to promote GOP priorities. Before her political career, yeah, we know what she did. Last month, both were named in a lawsuit alleging WWE leadership enabled systematic and pervasive abuse of underage children. Girl. Yeah, that was a part of the RICO charges, I believe. But either way, like somebody that literally is named in a lawsuit that enabled systematic and pervasive abuse of underage children, and you're gonna put them in charge of the education. They're already abusing the kids, girl. That was one of the things in the Unmasked Alice book that I found so fucking interesting. So, just a little side note about the if you've been listening since the beginning, one of the things they talked about in Unmasked Alice was in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah. Okay, a lot of my people who watch Salt Lake City, y'all know about the Mormons and all of that. Well, apparently there was a school for all boys that people would send their wayward children, and it was just basically abuse. I believe there's a documentary on Netflix about it. But, for like 40 some odd years, 50 years is just a place where you send your kids until they're beat into submission. And one of the things they said was Beatrix Sparks, who was writing books pretending to be teenagers and trying to keep the teenagers from going gay and getting on drugs and heading down the wrong path, literally was living down the road from a school that was abusing children and did not give a fuck. And that's why I tell y'all, people who act like they care about kids, they don't really care about kids. You don't really care about kids. You're really just projecting your own bullshit, your own shame and guilt about however you may feel, whatever truth you're not living with. You're projecting that onto other children and causing even more harm and ignoring harm that's actually taking place because you feel like those children deserve that abuse, not realizing that abuse is what eventually will lead a lot of adults into drug use. She was literally living down the street from it. Bad Baby was there too. Yes. Girl, one of the things that they said, they would make the children stand against the wall. Okay, teenage boys, make them stand against the wall for an entire day. And if they fell or passed out, they had to start all over again. If they refused, they were beat, locked in a small room, and then forced to do it again. You know what I mean? So the actual abuse that kids deal with, y'all ignore. Another example before we, hop over into some, some ratchet dumb shit a little bit before I get out of here. But this story really highlights that for me. Neighbors, a viral TikTok exposing an Oregon high school for protecting alleged child abusers has led to the arrest of two St. Helene High School, St. Helen, staff members. Eric Sturms, a 46-year-old choir teacher, and Mark Collins, a recently retired teacher, have been arrested after being accused of a nearly 10-year sex crime spree against teen students, according to police. For years, these two have been accused of having inappropriate relationships with students by students and parents, but victims claim the school board never did anything about it. Everything hit the fan when 36-year-old Doug Weaver made a startling TikTok claim the school had been protecting child abusers since he was a student there. Weaver decided to rip off St. Helen police after his rip off. I guess they meant tip off St. Helen police after his video had gained traction, and multiple former and current students contested to his abuse claims in the comments. His tip led to an internal investigation that included people in the TikTok or people who had commented under the video, and ultimately led to the sick teacher's arrest. The school board conducted a meeting the next day, and the board was ripped to shreds by students and parents. In the board meeting, the high school staff is accused of ignoring their complaints and brushing years of inappropriate behavior under the rug. A 14-year-old girl even went into detail about how Stern's choir class was her safe space, and during lunch break, he would hug and kiss her on the head. She even detailed how he said he loved her. Her mother reported this to the police, but they refused to act on the allegations, leading to the family hiring an outside attorney to protect their daughter. Multiple students and parents spoke out, expressing their frustration with the school board not protecting their babies. So this is one of the clips.
At the school, what was your reaction to finding out that Aaron Stern was an active pedophile with immediate access to minors for 2 months? You need to take 2 actions.
Do y'all see who's sitting on this panel? All white people? Okay.
You need to fix your problems here, and then you need to resign.
2 high school teachers from my former high school were arrested today. And this is all public record now, so I can share it all. Eric Stearns is the current choir teacher at St. Helens High School. He was indicted for 7 counts of sexual abuse in the 2nd degree and 1 count of sexual abuse in the 3rd degree. My former history teacher, Kyle Robleski, was arrested and convicted of SA. But after that, there was a separate lawsuit for state-created danger.
How do you feel about this?
Okay, I didn't realize he wasn't going to talk again. The arrest have sparked protests in the school with livid parents and students claiming that administrators knew about the sick allegations for years and did nothing. Let me see if he's going to talk again.
With fear, as I was bullied, harassed, and assaulted by another student for months. The only outlet where I felt like I could breathe was my choir class. As the bullying progressed, my mental health was increasingly getting worse. I found that my safe person at school was Mr. Stearns. Mr. Stearns and I would talk during lunch together quite often, alone in his classroom. As a vulnerable 14-year-old girl, I didn't find that it was weird that he'd hug me, kiss me on the head, and tell me that he loved me. I felt alone in this world, and I needed somebody, didn't I? I didn't question it. In fact, I didn't question it when my own mom brought up her concerns about our closeness. I was vulnerable, and I was naive, and the school district had covered up many past previous sexual abuse from former staff members, but this will be the last.
Okay. So, and they go on with that, I'm guessing.
We were told
more of what I read. Okay. So here's the thing about that. Have you guys watched, and I'm about to, let me see if I can pull it up for y'all. 3 Women on Stars. Have y'all watched that? So it's really good. And I just finished the first season of the show. Let me share this tab with y'all so y'all can see. But this is 3 Women, and I'm gonna watch anything DeWanda Wise is in, because DeWanda Wise is one of the most captivatingly beautiful people I've ever seen in my life. Also, even though Shailene Woodley has extreme, problematic ideals, I believe she's a Trumper. She's still an incredible actress. She's an incredible actress. So I usually will watch something she's in because she gives, she's like Republican Julia Roberts. You know what I'm saying? She's like young Republican Julia Roberts. Okay. So I still like her, I don't have to like her as a person. I don't know you, bitch, but I like her as an actress. Okay. But either way, this encompassed 4 different stories, really, but it's 3 women being written by the one character. So Gia is writing about Sloan, she's writing about Lena, and she's writing about Maggie. And I actually read this book on Audible. Shout out to Audible. Hit me up, Audible, girl. I'm always on there. But I read the book, and the book, of course, is not nearly as good as the show. Sloan, of course, is a white woman whose threesomes are more about, really started because her older husband wanted to have the threesomes with other women, and that's how they started. So them flipping it with Sloan, and Sloan being the one that wants to have, these sexual experiences with other men while her husband, played by Blair Underwood, watches. I mean, to the point that he's the person that gives the other guy the condom before he, fucks his wife. Like, the condom thing was such a huge thing on the show. But DeWanda Wise was just captivating to watch. Also, she had an eating disorder. So that was her situation. Lena, Y'all, I identify so much with Lena because Lena has such a longing that I identified with. Lena is, your regular middle class white woman, husband that doesn't want to kiss her, doesn't want to touch her. She's basically being starved of affection. It's probably because on some level her husband is gay and doesn't want to be honest about the fact that he's gay. He'd rather be in a relationship with her and have children with her, but not show her any physical affection. So because she's being starved of it, she goes and starts a relationship with her ex-boyfriend from high school, who was a douchebag, but she didn't realize how much of a douchebag he was because it's romanticized. And I feel like I kind of just went through this same thing with an ex-girlfriend of mine. You don't realize how much of a piece of shit they are until you're older and you have to go through some of those same things you went through when you were younger, and the picture is clear now. So I literally understood exactly where she was coming from. She was assaulted. Lena was raped. She was drugged and raped by some boys that she went to school with. And when she got back to school, they had told everybody that she was just a slut that fucked them all. Her boyfriend then stops talking to her, breaks up with her. She restarts the affair with him as an adult. And, they're having this hot and heavy sexual shit, which she hasn't been getting. He's kissing her, he's fucking her, but he's married. So he treats her like, she's disposable. He fucks her, calls her a kid, and then goes back to his wife and kids. And so there's an a fear of abandonment that's happening between the two of them. And she ends up having a conversation with him about the assault because she really blamed herself for it. She was like, it was really my fault. Like, she kept explaining in a way like she didn't want to deal with the fact that she was raped. Like, it wasn't, just some party. No, they planned that. They planned it. They drugged you. They assaulted you. And then they called you a whore at school the next day. And then your boyfriend believed them and broke up with you. Now you get back with him, not realizing how much of an asshole he was. And you have this conversation and he ghosts you. Ghost her after she has that conversation with him. Girl, the worst part for me is when her son, okay, she wants to talk to him so bad. He hasn't texted her back in a long time. So she is at the park with her kid, trying to focus on her kid because her kid is like, you're being a bad mom. Okay. And at first I was mad at the kid for talking to her like that, but I was like, nah, that bitch needed to be checked. She was doing too much. Like, why are you looking at your phone all the time like that? Stop that. Okay. I understand the inclination, but I still feel like there are other things that are more important and you need to focus on those other things. Put the fucking phone down. Okay. So she puts the phone down. She goes and has a good time with her son. She lets her son use the bathroom. She runs back to the car to get the phone. When she comes back, her son has fallen into the fucking shitter in a outhouse, y'all. It's a literal outhouse at the park. And it was a hole. I don't know why she let her child use the bathroom in that bathroom, but okay. Because I wouldn't have let my child use that. I was like, hold it. We're going to go home and you can use the bathroom at home. The little boy fell into the shitter. She has to go in there and pull him out because apparently this outhouse is deeply in the ground, right? So she pulls her son out of all of this liquid shit. It's all over her. Instead of immediately taking her son somewhere where they can burn those clothes and wash themselves with Dr. Bronner 4 or 5 times, she hops in her fucking car, still covered in shit, and goes to meet with this nigga so she can break up with him. When I tell y'all, I was screaming at the TV, bitch, is your son in the backseat still covered in shit? It was fucking terrible. It was so terrible. Oh my God. And just the fact that she felt like she needed to go and meet with this nigga under those circumstances, like that girl. And he actually said, hey kid, you smell like shit. Like, girl, it was terrible. Eventually, I'm over him, but it's like, but you're still covered in shit. You could have went cleaned yourself and your son first to prove that you were really over this nigga. Like, the fuck? Still not putting herself first. And we get to, let's just talk about Gia real quick, because I'm circling back from that last story to Maggie, okay? Because that's basically Maggie's story. And the way conservative towns handle shit, bro, it's crazy to me. Caring about family. You don't care about no fucking family. You don't care about them goddamn kids. Because whenever there's a small conservative town, there's a group of people bullying somebody who was just assaulted. Anyway, Gia. I hated Gia's character. Manipulative, a fucking user, but essentially the messiest people. usually have the best story to tell. She's basically like white writer Summer Walker. Like y'all, we just have to deal with the fact that there are some women that are just so fucking messy and delusional and reprehensible because she got pregnant, right? You're going around, fucking people with no condom. You get pregnant. The guy loves you, wants to be with you, but you don't want to be with him. You go back to him, find out you may have cancer. So then you leave during, just up and leave. You don't say anything. You ghost him. And then you come back with the baby and then you ghost him again and take the baby when he comes back from work. It was just fucked up to watch her put him through that emotionally when you can just have a conversation, when you can just say, I don't want to be with you anymore, sir. Let's, hook something up so that you can come and get your baby, see your baby when I'm in town. Child, I don't know, but just the way she handled it, because he was a good guy. So the way she handled it, it was just fucked up. But in real life, y'all know how I feel. That's your baby. That's your baby, bitch. You know what I'm saying? We don't ever find out if she actually had cancer or not. But either way, the writer annoyed me. Maggie basically had the same type of relationship with a man called Mr. Knodel. I don't know whether the K was silent or not, but I'm going to call him Mr. Knodel because they called him in the book and in the movie. In the show. Mr. Knodel is basically the teacher that creates, you create this inappropriate relationship with a teenager. They literally went to court, y'all. This is a true story. Maggie, you can look it up. Maggie went to court about this shit, just like she did in the show, and they did nothing about it. They kept that man on. He then became somebody that mentored other teachers. And I'm just like, so the pathway of being inappropriate with children will continue. And then the way people responded to her, calling her an ugly slut, calling her a liar, even though there was proof that her and Mr. Knodel were on the phone way too fucking much for a teacher and a student. And he kept saying, oh, I was just being there for her because she was going through things. So I was just trying to be there for her. So you was on the phone with your student, your high school student for 4 fucking hours because she's going through things. And don't get me wrong. I knew a lot of teachers growing up that really try to be there for us as teenagers and kids going through emotional things. But at some point, you got to get off the phone. And if you don't get off the phone after 1 hour, you trying to fuck. So Mr. Knodel got away with it. The book comes out. The show initially was supposed to be on Showtime, but because of the Maggie and Mr. Knodel thing, I guess Showtime was just like, it's going to cause us too much issue. And so then Starz picks it up and Starz runs the show. And it's a really good show. I think the show was better than the book. But to me, the way everybody was willing to blame, even her brother, her parents, the way they were willing to low-key blame her for an inappropriate relationship with an adult during a time when she is a teenager, and teenagers' emotions are always extremely heightened. It's hormonally what they're going through, and they're trying to figure out who they are. And you have someone who is in a authority figure to them. A teacher is technically an authority figure, and this person impresses this relationship on this child. This child grows up with the ramification of what that turns into for them. A lot of the times, more depression, shame, guilt, trying to understand, the dynamics of wanting someone who doesn't want you back. It's an inappropriate relationship, but you still want them. And then outside of that, how other people view it. Then as you get older, realizing you were taken advantage of and being angry about that because you didn't realize how fucked up it was when you were a kid, because you just wanted somebody to care about you. You wanted to feel something good. And a lot of the times what I recall about being a teenager is when people didn't want you to be with somebody, it added some type of dark allure to it. Like if somebody didn't want, like I felt like I was in a lot of like teenagey abusive relationships, toxic relationships, fighting and all of that shit. And when somebody didn't want y'all to be together, it felt like this is how it's supposed to go. Because a lot of us were living in households that were toxic. especially growing up in New Orleans, if your people wasn't fighting physically, they was definitely cussing each other the fuck out. And that's not everybody's existence, but it was mine, and it was a lot of people around me. So I feel like essentially you grow up watching toxic relationships play out, and as long as they look good to everybody else, that's all that matters. So it becomes what you find normalcy and pull towards: a toxic relationship, a push and pull, a person that's mean to you one day, but then all the passion and love in the world for you the next day, little slight comments to make you feel insecure about yourself, but then put you on a pedestal the next day. That push and pull shit, that is taught by parents who are acting it out in front of their kids. And then their kids go and get in relationships just like that. And they don't understand why or what it is that's pulling them towards it, but it low-key feels like normalcy. You don't know that it feels like normalcy because everybody's telling you shouldn't be in that type of relationship. Worry about yourself. All of the stupid shit they tell you after they've been done, brainwashing you into being into relationships. Like, all of our society brainwashes children into, especially girls, into romanticizing every fucking relationship that you're in. Every person that you're with is going to be the person you're going to be with for the rest of your life. That's not our fault. They're imparting that on us through all of the things we watch, through all the things we read, and a lot of the times also through how they want us to live. Like, y'all want us to find somebody and live happily ever after, as if that's fucking real. Your parents aren't even having that type of existence, but that's what they're trying to get you to do. That it's not really real, but on some level, you just get into the motion of feeling like, oh, whoever I'm going to be with, that's the person. As soon as I'm pulled to this person, and there's a push and a pull, a fight and a fuck, a good, a high, a real high and a low. As soon as I'm in that type of cycle, oh, I want to do this forever. And then you get older. And you realize how fucked up it is. And, hopefully you realize how fucked up it is. I feel like I did. But I feel like a lot of people don't. And a lot of people stay in toxic relationships and view unhealthy relationships as fun, attractive, more romantic. Okay? And then wonder why there's always a feeling of longing. You know what I'm saying? Like, just constant feeling of longing. And I feel like this show really did a good job at showcasing that. It really, really did. Maggie, Lena, and Sloan all had some underlying longing, which is something that had been broken or fucked up in their teenage or childhood years. And because nobody cares about mental health for teenagers, or, for real, like, y'all don't really care. I think they just emotional and they crazy. And so you ignore that a lot of the times teenagers are going through very, very real issues that start in teenage life and gradually proceed into adulthood. Those things don't just fall away from us. We carry them with us as we go older, as we grow older, as we get older. A lot of the things that fucked us up as teenagers and kids, it does not just fall away. You don't just forget about it. It just starts to embed itself in the cracks. And maybe someday you'll have to deal with that. And other times you may not have to deal with it. You can just keep pouring concrete over it. Okay? You can keep pouring concrete over it. But Maggie's story was really upsetting because it showcased how in those small conservative towns, people can get away with shit that's not conservative, like fucking kids. He had a sexual relationship with that girl, ate her out, but then will act like because he didn't penetrate her, it wasn't assault. Having any type of sexual interaction with a teenager when you're an adult, as far as I'm concerned, is assault. But the way you can romanticize something will change the perspective. Just like with people with Bill Cosby. I remember that was the thing. People acting like it wasn't rape because the women weren't being forcibly attacked. As if waking up, finding yourself sore and not remembering how that happened isn't the same fucked up feeling you feel after somebody just runs up on you. Like, bitch, I might have had a better chance when I might have felt better about trying to fight and losing a fight than getting got. You internally might feel better if you remember what happened versus somebody drugging you. Now you can't remember the shit. You know what I mean? Either way, the show is good, so y'all should check it out if y'all want to. But just to, bring it all together and pay attention to the way we are shown things in television shows and movies and media that might be there to fearmonger and control, which is why it is so important to learn how to think critically about these things, and also to pay attention about the things that are actually harmful, ignoring what the kids are going through, ignoring what we're going through, what we really are feeling stressed out about, because teenagers that are depressed and oppressed grow up to be adults that are projecting their oppression and their depression on other fucking people, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, that's all I got. Okay. I do not know if I'm going to give y'all Love and Hip Hop Miami today. Only because I need to go to the gym, and I did want to go to this little thing at the DH Lounge tonight. So I don't know. We'll see how I feel. If I end up staying in, I will come up here and do a members only for Love and Marriage. I mean, for Love and Hip Hop Miami. And if not, y'all will get it tomorrow. So either way, I love you guys. Thank y'all so much for supporting the channel. Meek, thank you for becoming a member, my love. Nappy to the root, thank you for being a member for 25 months. Hey, BondyBlue, listening to you and learning from you is so therapeutic for me. You're so brilliant. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Lady T, thank you for the super chat. Boo, hey, beautiful. We'll see how long I can hang. Not my president. Listen. Okay. K-Rep, thank you for becoming a member again. Kevin Preston, thank you for the super chat. I know someone who was close to Matt Gaetz at one time, and I've heard some alarming shit. I'm telling you, anybody whose brow line is that close to their eyes, question everything. Tribalist, thank you for being a member for 13 months. Very happy you are doing political commentary. Girl, I got to get it out some type of way. Once again, thank y'all so much for coming through. I'm so glad that y'all enjoyed the show. I know it's not, it's messy. And I'm going to come back for that messy shit. Because I know I told y'all we were going to talk about messy shit on the end of this, but this was long enough. And I think this can just be what it is. Okay. So I hope y'all enjoyed this episode of the BondyBlue Show, PolTrix. And I'll see y'all in the next one.